I'm just going to grab an extra pillow or two. So we are started in our seated position this morning. I'm happy to see you all as usual, especially making that effort on a Sunday morning to get up for our yoga practice. So when we come into our seat, as you all know, we want to make sure that we're able to sit up nice and tall, being as comfortable as possible, and maintaining that nice long length up the spine into our back. Sukhasana, Siddhasana, any of our cross-legged positions will work well. Support the knees, find those sit bones. And even in our seated position, we're still using our core to stay seated in a nice tall position. So there's a soft engagement here of the lower abdominal muscles. Adjust the clothing, get yourself comfortable. We can take Chin Mudra here, index finger to thumb, our seal of wisdom and knowledge. Palms up, more receiving energy. Palms down, more calming, grounding energy. Float the head on top of the shoulders. Once we're in our position, we'll start to soften our eyes. And then closing the eyes completely, redirecting our awareness and attention inward. When we close the eyes, we might notice some things that we need to adjust, so feel free to make those adjustments here in the beginning so that we can eventually find peace and stillness in the end. Release that lower jaw and tongue, give it a wiggle, poof the cheeks, whatever is needed. Feel the weight of the shoulders and elbows dropping away from the ears, the gentle weight of the hands on the knees. Notice the connection with the legs and the floor below. Any props underneath the sit bones. Try to feel the sit bones equally weighted here, left to right. Allowing that lower half of the body to be supported from the ground below. And then start to feel that lengthening and extension up the back of the body. Vertebra by vertebra, all the way up the spine to the crown of the head. And as we're taking some inventory this morning, if we are healing, taking care of any areas, let's pause for a moment on those areas. Send a healing breath into those areas and allow them to relax, knowing that we will honor and listen to them and our whole body throughout our practice today. Always making modifications as needed. And now spreading this awareness to the rhythm of the natural breath. Simply observing and watching our body breathe this morning. Watching the airflow around the tip of the nose, the nostrils. Noticing any difference in temperature between the in-breath and out-breath. And observing and noticing where the breath moves in the body. Do we feel it more across the chest, the back, along the sides, maybe into the belly? Remembering that we're making these observations without judgment. We're simply acting as a witness, looking from the outside in. And we will continue to sit with our breath here for another moment. Or if you'd like to join me and the opening mantra that we've been practicing It's Om Sahana Bhavatu mantra. It is an opening that encourages our knowledge and understanding, and that our study is brilliant, and that we come together to learn. Continuing to sit up nice and tall, we'll take a deep breath in to begin. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Being mindful of our surroundings, extend the arms out beside the body, palms up. Take another breath in through the nose, reaching those arms up towards the ceiling. Bring the palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart. Creating a positive intention, taking a mantra, or even a dedication into our practice today. And then take both hands and start to rub them vigorously together. When we start to feel some warmth in our hands, we will palm our eyes, making 2 cup shapes, sealing our eyes off completely, and just allow the eyes to enjoy some of that warmth and darkness for a moment. And then take the fingertips and just start to knead and massage across the brow line, up and down the forehead, into the temples. We can even go into the hairline or around the skull. And self-massage maybe doesn't feel quite as great as receiving one from someone else, but we still reap the benefits. So stimulating this area around our temples, the hairline, the skull, and the face. And at any time now, we can start to just gently blink our eyes open, bring our awareness back to the room, take another nice deep breath in. And on the exhale, take your hands and just shake them out a little bit, all the way down through the arms. Cross-legged, we will switch the cross of our legs, but let's give them a quick break. So stretch your legs out one at a time. Start with the knees bent, wiggle out the feet, and then try to stretch through one leg at a time. So we're still drawing into those lower abdominals here so that we can maintain our posture. If you're able to extend both feet, you can do that as well. Open palms or fists, little massage, stimulation for the legs. And then we'll come back to a seat. Try to place the opposite foot in front. Make sure that we're still balanced, nice and tall, up onto those sit bones. Low belly draws in, sit up tall, float the fingertips out beside the body. Turning those palms back up, inhale, reach up. Turn the palms back out, exhale. Right into flowing seated triangle. Inhale, right arm up. We keep that right sit bone rooted as we lean and stretch over to our left. Let the inhale pull you back up to center. Switching arms, exhale, big stretch over to the right. Little adjustment in the head and neck. Let's go one more time to each side. Inhaling up, taking the gaze down for a little bit more stretch for the back of the neck, or upwards. Inhale, we'll take it one more time over to our right. Next inhale, we'll meet here with both arms stretching up to the ceiling, moving right into our flowing twist. So on the exhale, rotate around the axis of the spine to the right. Let the fingertips float down towards the opposite knee. Use your muscles drawing along the right hand side, all the way up to the crown of the head, peek behind the body. On the inhale, we'll bring our arms and body back up to center. Exhale, rotate to the left. Remember, shoulders, chin, nice and parallel to the ground. Stretch those eyeballs out this morning. The inhale pulls us up through center. One more time to each side. Use that exhale. Contract the muscles along the right. Inhale up. And contract those muscles along the left. Again, we'll meet on the inhale, reaching both arms back up to center. Palms touch. Exhale to heart. All right, good. Let's move into our tabletop. You can transition however you'd like. If you want to crawl forward, stretch your legs out one more time, and then we're going to flip ourselves around so that we are stacking our joints. Fingers are spread wide. Distribute that weight out through the first knuckles. Hands are nice and broad as the shoulders. Draw that low belly in. Knees drop right below the hips. Toes tucked or pointed, your choice. Following the breath again, on the inhale, we'll relax the belly, stretching and lengthening the spine into our cow stretch, gazing forward. On the exhale, pull the belly in, scoop the tailbone under, round the back up to the ceiling, chin to chest, drishti to the navel. Follow your breath. This would be a nice time to move into Samavriti breathing. So inhaling to a count of 3 for your back bend, or whatever count you're breathing, and matching that count on your exhale. Or hanging out in one of these a little bit longer if that's what our back needs this morning. We'll bring it back to a neutral position. Keeping that low back and hips level, let's give our right foot a nice big stretch behind us. Shifting that weight back through that heel, opening up the eye of the knee. Breathe it in. Exhale, knee comes down. Other side, left leg stretches back, press that heel back, good. Be mindful of where the head is in space here. Breathe it in. Exhale, bring it back down. Inhale, re-extend the right leg back from the hip. Now squeeze the back side to hover our right leg parallel to the floor. Remember those toes are pointing straight down to the ground. So this is going to be a little more core strengthening as we add the left arm, reaching it forward. The palm is facing in, the thumb is up, and we're feeling our balance right away. Good. Take another breath in. On the exhale, bring that knee and hand down. Other side, stretch out that left leg. Squeeze your left side, hovering it parallel to the floor. Right arm reaches forward. Big stretch here. So even though we're lengthening and stretching out, we should really be controlling that with the core. So tighten up those muscles around the waist. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, bring that hand and knee down. Let's give our low back and hips another stretch and come off our hands into our first child's pose. Knees wide for wide child's pose. Touch the toes together. Draw those hip bones to the heels. Remembering that we can put pillows or folded blankets behind the crease of the knees as needed. If our head is touching the ground, stretch those fingertips forward to the front corners of the mat. If the head isn't quite touching the ground, then give that head some support. Feeling this nice big stretch across that low back. And let's all take one more nice big round of breath here. Inhale, head will float up, bring the body back up. Restack those joints. Tuck the toes under, walk those hands about one hand's distance forward. For our first, more fuller inversion, unless you're modifying, you can stay in tabletop or bring yourself up to the wall. Toes tucked under, press into the ground, pull the low belly in to hover the hips up and back out of Mukha Svanasana. Parallel those feet, bend the knees more deeply to help the back release, or try to sink those heels more closely towards the ground. Walk your dog, one heel at a time, bending the opposite knee to give the back to those legs an even bigger stretch. Now remember to root down through the mound of the index finger and thumb, that internal rotation through the forearms. However, we're spiraling those upper arm bones away from the ears. You should feel your shoulder blades connected onto the back and feel as if you're drawing them down the back towards the hips. Belly pulls in, belly to thighs, pressing the thighs back. Let the head just kind of hang loosely here as much as possible. We are getting that blood flow towards the brain. And we'll try to hold in stillness now for 1 or 2 more deep breaths. In and out through the nose, nice steady peace. Transitioning into Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, look forward. We will walk our feet to our hands. Modify as usual by bending the knees and placing the elbows or even the hands on the thighs. If we're not in a forward fold today, we can come up to Tadasana and work on our alignment there. Just feeling that nice tall alignment along the back side of the body. Those of us in forward fold. Strong legs, pull up through Mula Bandha, our root lock in the pelvic floor. Pull in strongly through Uddiyana Bandha, our lower abdominal lock. Take a hold of opposite elbows if you're able to release the upper body. And again, just try to let the head loosely hang. Trying to also reduce any tension or tightness in the neck and shoulders this morning. 1 more breath. And then we'll all bend our knees, walk our hands under our thighs with the fingertips turned in. Press the feet to the floor, pull the belly in, chin to chest, and inhale using our strong legs and that core. We're going to inhale and roll ourselves all the way up to standing. Head's the last thing to come up. When it finally comes up, float the head on the shoulders. Let's give those shoulders a purposeful little squeeze to our ears. And then on the exhale, let them fall back down. So we'll pause here in Tadasana for a moment, go over our foundation. So feet parallel to each other, toes pointing forward, picking those toes up and spreading them nice and wide. Root through the mound of the big toe, inner heel, mound of the pinky toe, and outer heel. Unlock those shins, they move slightly forward, thigh bones draw back into the body, front body to back body. Hips should be nice and level. Sink that lower tailbone towards the ground or the heels. Let's also turn our palms forward, spread the fingers nice and wide. Then a little stretch across the heart, slight engagement in the upper back, loosen the head. So you can rotate it side to side. You can bring it to center and just drop 1 ear at a time. Just make sure we're not tight in the neck and the top of our shoulders. And then bring the head up to neutral. If the toes are still up, let them softly float back down to the ground. Back to the breath. Inhale, reach those arms up to the ceiling, big stretch. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart. Right into palm tree pose. Next inhale, we rise up this time. Floating the heels up, lifting up. And on the exhale, we try to slowly lower the heels and the hands back to the heart. Let's do 2 more this morning. Draw that big circle, fingertips down, out, palms up, tippy toes. Good. Exhale with as much control as we can to lower back down. One more time. Big reach. And then exhale, bringing it back down. So we'll get ourselves up for our bigger standing postures. The next pose we'll be doing is our Prasarita Pada Tadasana, tipping forward at the hips into a partial inversion. If we're not practicing those inversions today, you can open the feet nice and wide, turn the toes out, arms up, and do some of our standing wide lead squats. That's a nice way to get that stretch as well. Again, if you're close to a wall, you can bring, and I'm facing away from you, but you can bring one foot to the wall. Try to do this angle and do some stretching here with one foot to the wall, side to side. If we have our yoga blocks, we'll set those up on their tall setting, about shoulder width apart. Folded chairs or a piece of furniture that's stable in front of the body, totally acceptable as well. We'll come to the center of our mat facing the long edge, fingertips float to heart, inhale, stepping out. This is a wide stance, so feel free to inch your feet open a little wider once you get there. Almost ankles under the creases of the wrist if we can. Turn the toes slightly in from parallel, so we have internal rotation in the thigh bones. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, hands to hips. It's going to be important to stay connected to the core. You may inhale, draw the elbows back, but don't thrust your lower ribs forward. Keep it pulled in. And on the exhale, we're taking this pelvic bowl and slowly tipping it forward. Nice control. Make sure your legs are powered up. Press through the four corners of those feet. Pick up your toes if you lose it. And then it's just you, your body, and your breath. Listening to everything that your body is telling you in this pose, where we need to engage more. Let that breath possibly guide you more physically into the pose. Fingertips to those blocks if they're there. Better to move slowly so that the muscles can lengthen, the breath can flow. If you're at the point where your fingertips are moving closer to the ground, your head is below the heart, you'll be back in your inversion. And at that point in time, you may be able to take the blocks with you or just walk your hands back slightly more between the feet. Yes. Those of you that are there, you'll bend your elbows back. You may either keep your drishti straight underneath the tip of your nose or release the head. If you're releasing the head, we're still connected to the shoulder girdle. So your shoulders should still be pulling away from your ears and down the back towards your hips. So avoid dropping the shoulders into your earlobes. Pull them away. The head gets a nice opportunity to release even more. We will be breathing here for a little bit longer, receiving that stretch up the backs of the legs, inner thighs. Continue to pull that low belly in to support the back. One more breath. The next inhale, we'll walk the fingertips forward. Use the props if you have them. Come into a halfway lift. So we're trying to elevate the chest and the head about halfway to regulate our blood pressure as well. Super strong feet and legs, pull the belly in. Exhale one hand at a time onto those hips. And then inhale all the way up to the crown of the head. Nice. Reach those arms up. Try to inhale even more air. Arms up. Bring the palms to touch. Exhale to our center. We will heel toe or step the feet in slightly. So they're still going to be wider than our hips here. Re-extend the arms out into a V shape. Turn the toes out at this point. So we're opening the thigh bones. We should be drawing up those outer thighs into the outer glutes. Take a breath in. On the exhale, we'll slide down an invisible wall. Bend your knees to your toes. Squeeze to that upper back. On the inhale, reach back out and up. Nice. Exhale. Belly's pulled in. Upper buttock stays lengthening downward, knees to toes. Inhale out. One more. Exhale, squeeze to that back. Inhale. Exhale, bring it down. We're going to stay down. So we're into this lower squat. Draw the belly in. Chin mudra in the hands, thinking about our concentration that we're building up here. Little balance work here, one heel at a time. We may try to go for both heels floating. We might feel some quivering in the feet, legs, and ankles, totally normal. And we did this last class. It's like a little shooting star side to side. So first lower the heels down. You may need to inch those feet a little closer. We want to be a little buoyant because we want to be able to land softly. So on our inhale, we're going to press down through this right leg. Let's just come up onto our tippy toes and stretch out over to the right. Exhale, we lower back down to center. Inhale, shooting star over to the left. You can just stay connected to your toe or maybe lift. Exhale, bring to the center. So now you're going to go with your breath side to side. If you want more, you got to really squeeze up to that side body. Just make sure you're landing gently on your joints. And then just press, nice. Maybe a little lift. So a lot of work here in the muscles. We're going to go one more time to each side. So you'll go one more over to your right. You can try to go a little lower when you get to the center. One more over to our left. And then we're going to meet in center. This time bring your hands to heart. And just see how low we can go safely. And then inhale, straighten the legs, release the hands down, out, and up. Big breath in. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart. Inch your feet, heel, toe, step, step, step them together. All right, so we're going to transition. We'll meet at back at the top of our mat, Tadasana. Adjust your space as needed. Open those feet back up so they're parallel to each other, about hips width apart. Bring those arms beside the body. Stand nice and tall and connected. Belly pulls in. Strength up through the front of the thighs. No tension in the face, neck, or shoulders. Inhale, breathing. Reach out, palms up. Big stretch. Stretch your thumbs for that gentle back bend. On the exhale, micro bend the knees. Hinge from the hips. Pull the arms back around and down to your forward fold. Pausing halfway, modifying, or eventually reaching back down into Uttanasana. Prance the legs a couple times, bend one knee at a time. Try to release the head, neck, and shoulders one more time. Hands to shins. Inhale, squeeze the upper back to lift the heart, halfway lift. Bend the knees, plant the hands. We're going to take a big step back into plank position. So if you need to readjust on your mat, do so. Our joints are still stacked here. Fingers are nice and wide. The hands can be as broad as your shoulders. A lot of core strengthening here. If you need to take kneeling plank, you can be in a kneeling plank. We have to concentrate even more of that scooping action of the tailbone under. Pull the low belly away from the floor. Even poof up the upper back a little bit, that's okay. Now those of us that want more core today, if you're in kneeling plank, you're going to try to lift one knee at a time from the floor. If you're in full plank, you're going to squeeze and lift your right foot from the floor. And then bring it down. Squeeze the left side. Lift. Bring it down. Even more, right arm reaches forward. There's a little leaning. Hopefully not too much. Down. Left arm reaches forward. Bring it down. Take another breath in. Another breath out. And then inhale. Those of us going upside down, lift your hips up. Exhale, shift that weight back and down the legs. Downward facing dog. Pause and breathe here. Inhale, shift back into plank position. You may be in full plank or kneeling plank. We're going to move through a chaturanga all the way down onto our bellies. So you'll bend your elbows back, lower the belly all the way down to the ground. Bring the chin forward. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders. Engage the feet. Keep your feet wider than the hips if you take care of your low back. On the inhale, Bhujangasana, squeeze your elbows into the torso, tighten up the backside and lift the heart. On the exhale, lower back down. You may kiss your mat or drop your forehead to the floor. Inhale, engage the upper back, mid back, low back. Squeeze those glutes. Press the tops of the feet to the floor. Exhale, bring it back down. Kiss the mat or forehead. One more. Inhale, squeeze, nice strong cobras. Make sure the legs are strong, nice. Exhale it down. This time, inhale, squeeze the back side. Stay up. Slide your elbows forward, one elbow at a time. Ending up in Sphinx pose, we'll take a more passive back bend now. So this time, let your heels flop open. Relax the legs completely, relax your glutes. Give your hips a little wiggle here, side to side. Knife the pinky edge of the hands into the ground. Test your alignment by bringing the webbing of the thumb and index finger to those inner elbow creases. Then pull by pushing down through your forearms, the crown of the head forward and upwards. So nice back bend. Drop the head down onto your hands and flare the elbows out if you need to take a break for your back. Otherwise, we'll gaze it forward, take a breath in. On the exhale, look over your right shoulder. A little release for our neck. See how far you can see. Inhale back to center. Exhale, have a peek over the left shoulder. See how far you can see. Inhale back. Exhale one more time to each side. And then inhale, taking our gaze forward. Let's all take a quick break before we do a little bit more of our strengthening for the core and our upper body for inversions. Flare the elbows out, stack your hands. Either turn your head to one side, resting one ear, or your forehead onto your hands. Now relax the back completely. Take a couple deep breaths into the belly. And then chin forward. Bring the hands back underneath the shoulders. Squeeze the elbows in. Strengthen all the way down through the feet. Press to the tops of the feet. Squeeze the upper back, mid back, low back. Inhale, lift up to Bhujangasana. Slide those elbows back forward into Sphinx pose. Relax the backside for a minute. So we'll be doing some forearm plank positioning. This is a nice way to build up that shoulder strength. We will transition to a dolphin pose. Some of us, it is an inversion. So if you're not practicing your inversion, stay here today and really enjoy these back bends and lengthening for the spine. So strong grip in the hands, press your hands into the floor. Now tuck the toes under. The legs are going to help us. You're going to press into the floor through your forearms and push down so strongly that your rib cage starts to lift up from the floor. Those low ribs start to pull in. Pull the belly in. Hips are going to lift. Scoop the tailbone under as tight as you can, eventually getting your thighs up off the ground. So we're kneeling, forearm plank. You're gazing straight down at your knuckles. Start by lifting one knee at a time, or you may float both knees up, pressing strongly into the floor, trying to keep the body as parallel to the floor as you can. We're gonna hold for 3 and breathe. 2, 1. Drop the knees down, the thighs, the belly. Relax your feet for a second. Let the heels flop open, gaze forward. Unclench the hands, switch the grip of your hands, opposite pinky and front. So we're gonna take it up one more time and possibly transition to dolphin pose. Tuck the toes under. You gotta press strongly down, start pulling in. Pull your ribs into the body, low ribs. Pull the belly into the body. Engage to pull your thigh bones come up. You may choose to stay here today or hover the knees. Forearm plank. Now we're gonna start to lift our hips up. I'm sliding on my shirt. The head can drop down, but the head is not touching the ground, okay? So your gaze can move to your feet. Bend your knees. The heels will not touch the ground either. Make sure this isn't putting too much pressure on the low back. Pull the belly in, pull the belly in. You may try to straighten one leg at a time. You may be able to walk your feet a little closer together, stacking your shoulders more over your elbows for a little bit more shoulder work, or keep your feet further back into more of a down dog position with extension for the spine. That's up to you. We're gonna try to hold and breathe for 3, 2, 1. Take a big breath in. Next exhale drops us to our knees. Point the toes, shifting our weight back onto our heels. Walk your elbows back. Walk your hands back. And try to sit all the way back into a full child's pose. Stack your fists under your forehead if it doesn't touch. Or let the head come to the ground and slide your hands all the way back to the feet. And then allowing those arms to just completely flop over the lower half of the body. Relaxing around the shoulders, giving them a quick break. So observe for a moment the body, the breath, and the brain. See if any feelings or sensations came up. Dolphin can be a really challenging pose. It's a lot of tight movement inside the body. And just notice if that feels differently for you. One more breath. Hands into shoulders, tuck the chin. Inhale, roll it up, one vertebra at a time. Once we're in a seated position, we're just using the seat to transition. We'll drop over to either hip and bring our feet forward. So before we transition all the way down to our back, we got a request for a little bit more of our core that we have been doing. If you have a yoga block, a book, or some type of object you can use that. We'll be doing our roll down and roll ups. I know these aren't for everybody, so you can forego the rolling down and rolling ups and move onto your back and take a happy baby, a bridge lift, an alternative. Let's have our yoga straps handy. We don't need them right away, but just have them nearby. The roll down and roll ups, you can also start for a couple, and then when you've had enough, you can relax on your back while we wrap things up. The soles of the feet plant to the ground. The insides of the feet are touching. The knees are wider than the hips. This is articulation of the spine. So I'm not trying to keep a neutral spine to go down and up. I'm tucking strongly in and rolling through the spine. Fingertips reach forward if you have the prop place up between the hands. Take a nice deep breath in. On exhale, pull the belly in. We're just gonna go a little bit. So we're just trying to get into the sacrum. And then inhale, pull ourselves back up. Then we try to go a little bit further. Pull the belly in, pull the belly in. We're trying to get to the low back. Inhale, come back up. Little further, belly in, sacrum, low back, mid back, tips of the shoulder blades. Inhale, pull it up. Little bit further, exhale, belly in, nice work. Low back, mid-back, upper back, touch the back of the head, and then inhale. Pull yourself all the way up, roll up, roll up, roll up. Awesome. This is our last one. We're just gonna try to go as slow as we can. Pull that belly in, reach your fingertips forward. Try to hit every spot of the back, low back, mid back, upper back. When the head finally touches down, reach your arms overhead. You can take your prop with you. Stretch both legs out down the middle of the mat. Flex those feet, spread those toes, let go of the prop, reach your arms out, spread the fingers. So let that low back just gently arch. We're stretching out the abdominal muscles here as well. Big breath in. On the exhale, we'll float our arms down. You can bring the block back down beside the body. Step the feet in. Pull the belly in to hug the knees in. So today we're going to go into a supported bridge pose with our yoga block or a very firmly folded blanket or a nice large book, something like that. Again, if you're not doing inversions today, you are welcome. If you can keep your head level here, if you're not going down onto your back, then you can do some other seated postures where you're doing twist side to side. We'll hug our knees in. So supported bridge into possibly a supported elevated waterfall pose, a supported elevated Supta Konasana pose. You don't have to be on your block for all of these. If you are choosing to use the block, it just takes you up a little higher. We'll see where we're at. But right now, we're just giving our back a stretch. Let's drop our feet back down to the ground. Parallel the feet. Adjust the clothing so there's not any creases underneath there. Move ponytails out of the way. Adjust the shoulder blades. Now tighten up the back side, the hamstrings and the glutes. Bring your arms down beside the body. Squeeze and inhale, lift the hips up. From here, take the block under the sacrum. Let's start on the low setting. So we have a nice firm foundation for our low back. Now reach the hands back down. Maybe you can tickle the backs of the heels with your fingertips. Maybe take hold of the ankles. We're just going to hang out here for a moment and get some benefits of our bridge pose since we're here. We're going to do a little bit more abdominal work too. So I mentioned the inversions, but we're going to pause. We're going to do some strengthening and then we'll do the inversions. So we want to make sure that our neck is in its natural arch off the floor, no pressure in the neck whatsoever. Medium part of the shoulders are taking any additional weight. So to begin, pull in through the belly, pull your right knee up so the knee is bent. Then extend the right leg up to the ceiling, just the right leg. Point the toes up to the ceiling. You can do a little external spiral in the thigh bone. To begin, take a breath in and try to lower your right leg a few degrees in front of you. Maybe it just goes about 45, maybe a little further, maybe into almost just a hover from the floor. So you'll get a stretch, and then on the exhale, you're gonna squeeze and lift the right leg back up. We're gonna stay on the right side. So if you're modifying, you're going just a few degrees, and then pulling it right back up to the ceiling. If you want a little bit more, you're going to make a nice smooth line, and then exhale, pulling it up. Another modification would be to bend the knee to 90 without changing the angle at the knee, lowering the thigh, touching the toe, bringing it back up. So your choice. I think I'm on about round 4. Let's try to do one more. The inhale lowers the leg. The exhale really contracts and pull those muscles to lift it back up. After your last one, simply bend the right knee, bring the right foot back down to the ground. Pause for a moment. Make sure your low back is comfortable in a nice neutral position, weight in the shoulders. Pull your left knee in using your core. Extend the left leg straight up to the ceiling. Point to the toes, little external spiral if you want, and that left thigh bone. Start out small. The right leg is anchored as well. So a little lower, see how it feels. And then you can take it into a bigger arc. And then exhale, contract the muscles along the front of the body, hip flexors to lift it up. Nice. Make these movements slow and controlled. No swinging. I like it. You guys have that down. Good. Inhale to lower. Exhale, pull the belly in to left. I think we did about 5 on the first side. I honestly wasn't counting. So maybe 2 more on this side, depending on the pace that you're going to, but smooth, precise, controlled with the breath. After that last one, the leg extends back up. Bend the knee, plant the foot to the floor, pause and bridge pose. If you're still comfortable here on the block, stay here. If you've had enough with your hips elevated on the block, you can do the next 2 postures with your low back flat to the floor. You would just tighten up your backside, lift up just enough to slide the block out, and then bring your low back to the ground. If you want to stay in the block, just be mindful of how that translates to that low back. Strong arms, strong shoulders press into the floor. Use the core, bend your knees up into the body, 1 knee at a time. Moving into Viparita Karani, waterfall pose, extending both legs up to the ceiling. Palms can be flat down to the floor. You might be able to hook your fingertips around the yoga block. Now this puts a lot of effort. Our muscles really have to work here to straighten those legs up to the ceiling. Now try spreading the toes and pressing the mount of the big toes up to the ceiling. So this is a more active waterfall pose and a more passive one. The breath should still be flowing smoothly in and out through the nose. Next inhale, we will open the legs nice and wide, flex the feet, Supta Konasana. If you're up on the yoga block, you're probably going to get a little bit bigger of a stretch because your legs are hovering out there, gravity's pulling on them a little bit more. If you're on the floor, use your hands to support the outer thighs or move your hands to the inside to get a deeper stretch. Feel free to roll your ankles. The more we press our heels out, the more we open up the eyes of the knees and get a deeper stretch to those inner thighs. One more breath here. Take one more inhale. The exhale, we're going to use our muscles to squeeze those legs all the way back up to waterfall pose. Then bend the knees. Drop the feet. You can do 1 foot at a time, back down to the ground. Parallel the feet, make them nice and strong. Tighten up the hamstrings and the glutes. Inhale, lift the back just enough to slide that block down. Low back comes down, rock the knees side to side. Then hug the knees into the body, stretch out the back. So we are going to go for Supta Padangusthasana on each side. So you want to have your strap handy. We'll do some hamstring work and still have our legs up in the air for all this inversion for the lower legs. So we'll have our feet back down to the ground, knees bent. We'll start with our right side. Draw the right knee in, hook that strap under that lower arch. Re-extend this leg up to the ceiling. Now we have the support of the strap. Find your hand grip. Wrap it around the hands if you like. Press that heel up. Adjust the shoulder blades. Slide the left heel straight forward to the front of the mat. That left foot is actively flexed, the left side anchored to the ground. With the breath, maybe we try to draw that right leg a little closer to the right shoulder, feeling that big stretch up the back of the leg. Keep the strap in both hands so the heart stays open. Hold on to the strap in the right hand. Left hand to your top hip. Remember that left side has to stay glued to the floor, the low back flat. Bend your right knee so that the right thigh bone is moving more at an angle towards the torso. Bend the right elbow. Inhale. Drop the right elbow out to the right. Open the leg up to the right. Then try to press the right heel back out. Big stretch, inner thigh growing muscle across the top of the pelvis. If your left side is anchored down, reach your left arm out from the shoulder, turn the head to the left, and just breathe. Next, inhale, the head and the leg will float back up. Switch hands. Right leg stays straight. Right side stays down. Try to angle that leg over just slightly. Getting into a deep stretch for IT band, outer hip. Massage into it. Open hand, fist massage into those muscles. If we want to go into the twist, left elbow's a kickstand on this side. Keep tension on the belt. Let the leg fall over towards the floor. Let the right hip stack on top of the left. Keep your right shoulder grounded. Reach the right arm out from the shoulder. Turn the head to the right. Close the eyes. Slow the breathing down. Relax the shoulders, the throat. Next, inhale, bring the head and the leg back up to center. Open the strap up, slide the left foot in and up. Waterfall pose, more supported this time, still reaping the benefits of that inversion. Right foot comes down to the floor, situate that strap along that lower arch of the foot. Press the heel up, open the eye of the knee, find your hand grip. Slide that right heel forward. Right foot just as active. Press the right heel out. Glue the right side to the ground. Relax the face using the breath. Trying to stretch out the back of the left leg. So important to keep our hamstrings stretched out, lengthening, especially for us low back people. Left hand holds on. Right hand to that top hip. Bend the left knee and the left elbow. Let the thigh bone come closer towards the body. Inhale. Let that left elbow come to the ground. Press your left heel back out to the left. Right side needs to stay anchored. Low back flat to the floor. Right arm reaches out from the right shoulder. Head may turn to the right. Enjoy this big opening for the inner left thigh across the pelvis. Next, inhale brings the head and the leg back up to center. Right hand holds on. Keep your left side down. Leg straight, angling it over. Big stretch outer thigh. Massage, punch into those muscles and connective tissue. Moving into the twist, right elbow's the kickstand. Keep tension on the strap. Let the left hip stack. Sink the left shoulder back into the ground. Reach the left arm out. Turn the head to the left. Close the eyes. Slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. Relax the face, the throat, the shoulders. Next inhale, head, help the leg back up to center. Open the strap up, slide the right foot in and up. Waterfall pose. And then bend the knees, release the strap off to the side. Cross one ankle on top of the other. Reach the arms straight up to the ceiling, but flop your hands and fingertips forward for dead bug pose. Give the fingertips a wiggle if they need it from holding on to the strap. Switch the cross of the ankles, relax the hands, the wrists, and the fingertips. Uncross at the ankles, hug the shin bones in. If you feel like there's any other movement you might need to do before final relaxation, happy baby, another spinal twist side to side, or take this time to gather up any props you might want for our final relaxation. Adding the supportive pillows, blankets, and cushions underneath and on top of the body. Or sliding the body out, flat to the floor. Let those feet flop open. Let the arm bones roll open. Palms up to the ceiling. Over time, as we move into our position for final relaxation, we are creating this muscle memory and our mental muscle to recognize this is the time to let go. Purposeful relaxation. Releasing any tension or tightness from the body. Putting some effort into this relaxation by moving through the body point by point, softening all the muscles across the face, around the mouth, the lower jaw, the throat. Flopping the whole weight of the limbs into the ground. Let go of holding on. Relax the hands, the fingertips, the centers of the palms. Let the weight of the legs completely flop into the ground. There's nowhere to be, to go. Let them go. Relax the feet, the soles of the feet, the toes. Relax the larger muscles around the abdomen, the hips, the buttocks. Notice a subtle rise and fall of the belly with the breath. Let go of controlling the breath. Let it be easy, quiet. If the mind wanders, we gently bring it back to this peaceful breath. Taking just one more moment of our morning to let go, to relax, and to sink into Shavasana. And then slowly coming back to the natural breath of the body. Breathing life back into the body. Waking up toes and fingertips. Rock the head side to side. Roll the ankles and the wrists. Next inhale, let's reach our arms back overhead into our long body stretch. Stretch the legs out, create some space, right to left, front to back. Take a big breath in, spread the toes and the fingertips. On the exhale, float those arms down, walk the feet in. Draw the belly in to hug the knees in. Rock out the back. Right arm falls beside the head. Rolling onto our right side, pausing and sleeping baby pose. And then keeping those eyes closed or soft, press into the ground. Use the arms to bring the body back up to any comfortable seated position. Find the sit bones, sit up nice and tall. Lengthening the spine upwards towards the ceiling through the crown of the head. Taking Chin Mudra back into the hands, index finger meets thumb, the other three fingers are extended. Resting the hands on the knees. Relax all the muscles across the face. Continue to soften around the mouth, tongue, and jaw. Feel the weight of the shoulders and elbows falling away from the ears. Notice the weight of the hands on the knees. The connection at the fingertips. Notice the connection of where the legs are touching each other. And the connection of the lower half of the body and the ground below. Allow the lower half of the body to stay grounded and be supported by the earth below. Simultaneously, allowing the spine to grow up like a tree, vertebra by vertebra. All the way up the spine and up the back to the crown of the head. Notice the breath around the nostrils, the tip of the nose. Maybe subtle movement of the breath around the rib cage or into the belly. Continue to sit with the breath, observing the body breathe. Or join me in chanting our final mantras. Om Purnamada, Om Shanti. Sitting up tall, taking a deep breath in to begin. Om Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om, Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om, Tat Sat. Being mindful of our surroundings, we extend the arms out beside the body, palms up. Another big breath in to reach those arms all the way up and to gather up everything we need for the rest of our day. Turn the palms out, big breath out, float the arms all the way back down, fingertips to the floor, and let go of all that other junk we don't need today. One more time together. Inhale, arms up. Join the palms together. Exhale, hands to heart. Humbly bow the head down to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and remembering to be grateful to anyone else that made it possible for us to connect and practice our yoga together today. And I thank each and every one of you so much for showing up. It was nice practicing from my new space today with you all. It feels a little different. I'm up in the second floor, and you can actually feel that. It's weird. And it's just a new space. Whenever we practice a new space, it has a different energy. So thank you all for welcoming all your good energy into my home this morning. I spent my first night last night here, so thank you guys. I'm so happy that you all were here with me today.